Dear beautiful, radiant soul, right now you will receive knowledge of the great law, the universal law that bestows wealth, prosperity, success, love, and absolute happiness. This is the universal law of sacrifice. Perhaps you're familiar with the expression, what you give is yours. What you withhold, you lose. Or maybe you've heard the phrase, the more we give, the more we receive. All of this speaks of the universal law of sacrifice. But how can we truly understand it? And most importantly, how can we apply it correctly in our lives? All our troubles, misfortunes, poverty, disasters, conflicts, and all the negativity that occurs in our lives happen because we fail to abide by the universal law of sacrifice. How does it work? And why is this law so important? In modern society, in the modern world, we have become accustomed to taking only. Our entire society is structured in such a way that we take. We try to acquire as much property, money, people, and power as possible. The entire consumerist society is built on possession, on the desire to take from someone and something. And the most important thing is that we are deceived. We are told that you will become happy when you have something external. A house, a car, an apartment, a family, a job, money, power, adoration. But take a close look at those people who already have it. Can you definitely call them happy? Can you really say, looking at a wealthy person, that he is happy? Or is he, with under-eye bags, constant stress, antidepressants, and a huge number of psychologists? And are people who own houses, cars, yachts, have created families, are they all happy simply because they have these things? Or could it be that the secret of happiness lies in something else? Not in consumption, but rather in the ability to give. Think now about how you feel when you give someone a gift or help someone. And maybe you already have experience in charitable activities. Perhaps you have participated in our volunteer projects. Remember how happy you were when you gave someone your attention, your time, your love? When you bought groceries for the needy grandmother, fed a kitten. Recall how you feel when you give sincerely from the bottom of your heart, expecting nothing in return. How do you feel? Happy, right? This is the observance of the universal law of sacrifice. It is the ability to give and share easily, the ability not to be attached to the material things of this world that would make us happy. All our troubles and sufferings stem from attachment, from identifying with people, events, or things. Our car breaks down, we get upset, we lose our home, loved ones, and we worry greatly about it. All our suffering is connected with losses, with the fact that we don't know how to give, with the lack of understanding that everything in this life is given to us by God. And if He has given us something, He can also take it away at any moment. This is the essence of the universal law of sacrifice. God gives us everything. If we are joyful, if we help others, if we dwell in goodness and happiness, God gives us everything. But at any moment, He can take it away and see how we react. And if we do not attach ourselves to things, people, events, if we thank God for everything He gives and for everything He takes, we will never lose the state of happiness. We become invulnerable to all problems, troubles, and misfortunes. Look at this illustration depicting a woman who is carrying a bag on her back, a bag of her attachments and identifications. It's very precious to her. She thinks it's the most important thing in her life. But at the same time, look, she is tormented by the constant fear of losing something. She drags it with her, believing that without it, she won't survive. But is that really the case? This is the burden, the weight of the past that weighs down on each of us. Now, look at the second illustration. She offers this bag on the altar, sacrifices it. The priest takes this sacrifice, and look at how she has transformed. She has become younger, more beautiful, blossomed. A magical amulet shines on her chest. Bright spirits are flying around her. She has freed herself from the treasure she was carrying, from the burden that weighed her down, pressing her to the ground and turning her into an old, sick, and unhappy woman. She has been freed and found true happiness. This illustration depicts the law of sacrifice. But how does it work? What is hidden in this bag? The simplest form of sacrifice is a material one. Whenever we want to obtain something, we sacrifice money to buy it, pay for our leisure or experiences. This is the most straightforward form of sacrifice. Money is invented for the purpose of exchange, to give something and receive something in return. In the past, there was exchange, where people exchanged goods. Then, cattle became currency, followed by gold, silver, paper money, and now electronic money. It doesn't matter what currency is invented or what we exchange. Money exists to be given and received in exchange for something. However, this is the simplest form of sacrifice. At the initial stage, even on a spiritual path, you can make a material sacrifice and receive in return a magical amulet, individual diagnostics, or attend a seminar. But this is only the first stage of sacrifice. In order to truly become happy, it is necessary to sacrifice your identifications, attachments, lies, and negative emotions. This is already very challenging, and not everyone is capable of it. Sacrificing harmful habits, for instance. How can a person become happy if they cannot get rid of the habit of overeating or consuming alcohol? Our harmful habits, negative emotions, lies, and identifications are what truly need to be sacrificed on the altar to the priest. This is the kind of sacrifice that God requires in order to grant us happiness, love, and prosperity in return. What sacrifice are you willing to make? If a person does not offer all of this as a sacrifice, their life will only get worse and worse, and they will be crushed under the weight of all the problems that surround them. Even when you make a material sacrifice at a seminar, it is crucial to understand whether you are willing to part with your negative emotions. How do you perform the ritual? How do you go through the practices? Are you dedicated to it, completely open to the power, and totally committed to the sacrifice you make? And if a person starts holding back, saving, fearing to give too much, if they start attaching themselves to the material wealth that God has given them, then such a person is closed off to the higher divine power, and it cannot enter them. The benevolent spirits cannot help them, no matter how much they want to, because they themselves have closed off to this energy. They drag this huge, heavy sack. When you sacrifice openly, from the heart, giving without expecting anything in return, but with gratitude, and when you donate to charity. In fact, all the funds from our seminars and sessions are sent to those in need, and you are essentially always engaged in charitable work. And if you offer with an open heart, a state of goodness, joy, and grace comes to you. This is the sign of a sincere and open sacrifice. Because first, you need to enter a happy state, be completely open and joyful, grateful, and only then will changes in fate begin. You need to sacrifice your negative state, judgment, criticism, despondent thoughts, disbelief. Offer all of this as a sacrifice on God's altar and part with it once and for all. Are you ready? And there's no need to envy those who have money in their accounts, those who have wealth, or other external symbols of success. These people are unhappy and often just cry in their golden baths adorned with expensive jewels. They feel like the most miserable people in the world. Because everything we strive for, the very first thing we need, is a state of happiness. That's the first thing we need. And the last. Because when we attain a state of happiness, nothing else is needed. All the bright spirits flock to it. They come from different corners of the planet. Spirits of success, wealth, love, and joy come instantly as soon as we sacrifice all the negativity and let go of it. You are much happier than all those who have bags of money. You are much richer than them because you dwell in God. What's the use of money if you're unhappy? What's the point of having all the riches in the world if you're sad, lonely, broken, and sick? You cannot buy anything with this money. Very often, a person chooses the long path to happiness. They think that they will get a promotion at work and become the happiest person, or they will buy something for themselves, a house, an apartment, start a family, and become the happiest person in the world. They go a very long way to find happiness, striving to possess, to get one thing, then another, and then another. All of this is just a long path that often does not lead to happiness at all. To attain happiness, you need to take the shortest path, by connecting with God. By giving to God what He has given us, we receive grace, love, and happiness in return. Like in the parable that Jesus told His disciples about the two mites, where Christ, along with His disciples, observed a poor woman giving 2 mites as an offering in the temple. They also saw a wealthy merchant donating a large ark of gold. Jesus then asked His disciples who had given the greater sacrifice, the rich man with the ark of gold, or the poor woman with her 2 mites. He explained to His disciples that the woman didn't just give 2 mites. She gave all she had. She wouldn't even have anything left to feed her children. Yet, she offered her sacrifice to God and gave all she had. And in return, she would receive the kingdom of God. The rich man, on the other hand, gave only a small portion of his wealth, and he wouldn't receive even a fraction of what the devoted and poor woman would receive from God. This is the essence of the phrase that the more we give, the more we receive. It's no longer about the quantity of money or material possessions, but about our internal capacity for generosity, what we are willing to sacrifice. And if we become attached to everything that God has given us, eventually, God will reclaim His sacrifice. But it won't be pleasant for us because we will part with it involuntarily. Misfortunes may occur, such as fires, plane crashes, or other disasters. We may lose material possessions. Perhaps we'll lose our jobs or face bankruptcy or something else. We will lose what we couldn't willingly sacrifice. Because God will reclaim what has always belonged to Him anyway. But we can make this sacrifice willingly. We can part with what we don't need in order to receive goodness, happiness, and love. After all, God looks down from the heavens, watching how we humans use what He has given us. Once at a seminar, a woman decided to leave a little earlier. Without waiting for the seminar to end, she began to get ready to leave. The mentor stopped her and said, "You cannot leave now. Stay here under the protection of the spirits." She didn't want to listen, thinking she had important matters, work to attend to, and she might lose a lot of money. So, the mentor gave her a magical talisman. She handed her a pine cone, saying that a spirit lived within it, which would protect her, and she needed to acquire this magical object. The woman refused, unwilling to make a material sacrifice. She went on her way at night. The mentor prayed fervently for her and asked everyone at the seminar to pray to help and protect this woman, because she had a terrible aspect threatening her with death. And she got into an accident. She survived, but ended up in the hospital, where she took a long time to recover, and her car was severely damaged. When she received the bill for the damaged car, she was amazed. It was exactly the same amount that the mentor had suggested she offer as a sacrifice for the magical talisman she had given her. Precisely the same amount. Realizing this, the woman understood the importance of voluntary sacrifice and that spirits, God, will always take the sacrifice that needs to be given. On the same seminar, her friend stayed until the very end and went through a very strong individual ceremony. For her, it was very significant in terms of sacrifice, but she offered this material amount, wanting to give her all, trust in the power, trust in the spirits. And as soon as she returned home, she was surprised to learn that she had received a promotion at work, and her salary was increased by exactly the same amount she had contributed for the individual ritual. In this way, she multiplied her wealth, receiving this exact sum every month, and her friend struggled for a long time to pay off the debts for her crashed car, recover her health. She missed important business meetings, lost her contract. She lost so much when she could have listened to the conductor of power and stayed at the seminar under the protection of spirits. It would have been a conscious sacrifice in exchange for which she would have received goodness. If a person doesn't want to give anything, becomes attached, identifies with things, and doesn't want to sacrifice, then sooner or later, it will all be taken away from them. No one will take anything with them to the other side. Remember the words of Alexander the Great. Before his death, the great military leader requested to have his lifeless body carried on a shield, with his hands hanging down from it, so that as his body was carried through the crowd, all people would see that his hands were empty. He had conquered half the world, but he couldn't take a single coin with him to the afterlife. This wisdom came to the great military leader only shortly before his death. He lamented how he hadn't understood this earlier and hadn't dedicated his life to serving God and humanity. Look at this mystical image. You can see an illustration of Christ saying, "It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." A woman, attached to her possessions and material objects, stands at the entrance to paradise. But in order to pass through this needle's eye and find herself in paradise among the angels, to draw closer to God, she must cast aside all her money, all her identifications, part with them, and leave them behind in the past. After all, in the kingdom of God, in paradise, we cannot take anything with us. And these attachments and identifications make us so unhappy. The demons, Rubbing their hands together, stand behind her, expecting that she won't be able to let go of everything she has acquired. And then they will drag her to hell. Indeed, true hell is our suffering over losses, our anguish over what we haven't obtained and what we've lost. This is what demons feed on, and this is what they eagerly anticipate, rubbing their palms and laughing at the woman who wants to carry all her accumulated experiences with her into the kingdom of God. Precious ones, remember that the most important thing to strive for in this life is a state of happiness. Look at the people at our seminars. Recall if you've been to places of power, undergone individual rituals, communicated with spirit helpers. You've already attained a state of happiness. You know what it is. It's the first thing to aim for, and it's also the last thing that each person needs. Therefore, do not be afraid to part with what you no longer need, what has long outlived its purpose. Follow the universal law of sacrifice. The more we give, the more we receive. And then we become invulnerable to all troubles and sufferings, becoming the happiest in the world. We sincerely wish this for you from the bottom of our hearts, from the depths of our souls. We strive to make you the happiest in the world. God is watching you, and the benevolent spirits are watching you. And right now, extend your palms towards the screen and feel the flow of benevolent energy, the flow of happiness, success, and prosperity. Take a deep breath, receiving this flow, and envelop yourself and your loved ones in this radiant light of God, which is pouring abundantly upon you right now. May the blessings of the higher powers be with you. Aum. Precious ones, you deserve nothing but the best. We wish for you to always dwell in happiness and harmony, to fathom the mysteries of the gods and planets. To achieve this, come to our seminars, sessions. Seek guidance from the conductors of power, from those who possess and understand the truth, from those who are always aligned with the power. Only then will you be able to find true understanding of your life's purpose, discover your talents and abilities, and perhaps even receive an amulet or talisman that can protect you from all negative influences. You, your loved ones, your family, everyone dear to you. Right now, you can visit our website and find out which amulet is right for you, which spirit helper is needed for your loved ones, and most importantly, to delve into the truth and knowledge. Seek help from the great wisdom. It is hidden in our portal, in ancient books, the knowledge which is capable of changing your entire life. Make sure to follow the link. Look, read, explore yourself and the world. Never before has the truth been conveyed in such an easy, bright, and pure form. We even have an animated masterpiece that tells the secrets of the creation of the world. If you want to understand why the universal law of sacrifice exists, why God created it, and what is important for humans to understand, you can vividly see it in the 13th episode of the animated series, Life After Life. There, you will learn about things you never even suspected and understand the meaning of your life on Earth. You can find everything through the links in the description. If you want even more interesting videos, be sure to like this video so that we know which knowledge interests you. Share this link with those who are capable of understanding the depth encoded here. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and be sure to click the bell icon so you won't miss new videos. See you soon, dear ones. Be happy.